Using a 19mm socket, go ahead and remove the lug nuts. And take the wheel off and set that aside. In a 17mm deep socket, I'm going to go ahead and remove this upper bolt here. This lower one loose. Work that out, and we're going to use a caliper hook here. We're going to just remove this. We're going to go ahead and set this hook up on a spring. We want to pull this up and get this out of the way. So it doesn't fall. Go ahead and remove the brake rotor. Set that aside. All right, there's 4 bolts on the back of the wheel hub. There's one here, one down below here, and then there's 2 on the other side. Using a 14mm socket, we're going to go ahead and loosen these. Go ahead and get that one moved to the other side. Going to go ahead and remove these bolts. Now go ahead and remove all 4 of the wheel hub bolts. Set these aside. Using a 10mm socket, we're going to go ahead and remove this bolt here for the ABS wire harness, and there's one over here. We're going to remove. This is going to allow for some slack when we remove that hub. Set these bolts aside. Using a hammer, you can go ahead and work your way around the outer flange here to get this hub to come out. As you separate this here, you'll be able to see the ABS connector in the back here. All right, using a pick, you can get into this little notch right here. Lift the connector out. and disconnect that whole connector there. I'm just going to go ahead and tuck the ABS wire back through the knuckle there. And now we want to go ahead and separate the backing plate here from the hub itself. So we put a couple bolts through the back of the knuckle here, and these have Loctite on them. I'm going to go ahead and feed the backing plate on and push those studs through to get this lined up. Go ahead and put the other bolts through on the bottom. Get those lined up. And now we're going to go ahead and line up the wheel hub, making sure that the sensor lines up with the hole in the knuckle. Good, put that in. And we're going to go ahead and reach around the back and see if we can catch a few threads in the wheel bearing. All right, using a 14 millimeter, we're just going to go ahead and snug these up. We're going to go around to all 4 of those bolts. This is going to pull that hub into the knuckle and in place. I'm going to go ahead and go to the other one. Go to the other side. I'm going to install the ABS bracket here. Going to get the bolt started there, bring the other one up, and get that threaded on to the strut bracket. With those started, we can now go ahead and reach around the back and connect the ABS wire. Just take the ABS connector, line it up on the sensor itself for the wheel. It should slide right on, press it on until it clicks. And there it is. I'm going to go ahead and tighten down or torque these 4 hub bolts to 44 foot-pounds. And do this for all 4. We're going to go ahead and tighten down these 10 millimeter bolts for the ABS. I'm just going to hold it back and just snug this down. Do the same for the strut bracket. Now we'll go ahead and put the brake rotor on. Make sure that your e-brake is adjusted. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove the hook for the caliper bracket and the caliper. Line this up. Open up the pads a little bit and work the caliper onto the rotor. Then we're going to go ahead and get a bolt started into the upper caliper bracket. Once you get a few threads started, go ahead and put the lower bolt in. I'm going to go ahead and snug those down. All right, we're going to go ahead and torque down the caliper bracket to 58 foot-pounds. And then we'll go to the upper one and do the same up top. And you're going to go ahead and install the wheel and get all the lug nuts started by hand. I'm going to go ahead and snug these and torque them to 76 foot-pounds. Go ahead and torque these to 76 foot-pounds.